well.
All right. At 5:30, we'll call this July 11th meeting of the Winchton School Committee to order. And we'll start off with our Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, we'll take a moment to ask if anyone other than the broadcast is recording tonight's meeting. Not seeing any. Any public comment? Comment from anyone that would like to speak? Please step forward to the front of our giant room.
Good evening. My name is Renee Eldridge. I am a parent of two amazing kids. One just graduated 8th grade. And as we go into the next school year, I come to the board, and I haven't introduced this to Superintendent King yet, so I preface that. But I do come to the committee because of the timing, and wanted to share the concern around the middle school and high school and memorial school entrances to the buildings have access to anyone coming into the lobby, and then from the lobby they're able to be buzzed into the building. In the lobbies areas of all three of those entrances, middle school, high school, and memorial, there are, I can't speak to memorial, that may have changed, but I know at the middle school and high school there's like a plexiglass, and that is the only thing keeping someone, an outsider, from getting into the school. So there is a buzz-in, situation, but to get into the school, it's free to do that, and that's very concerning to me in light of our circumstances in the country right now. So my ask is, I will reach out to Superintendent King, but my ask is to please consider if there's funding available to look into what that cost would be to provide that kind of security for our youth, so that there is not that immediate access to the schools.
Can I just ask it? So when you say the plexiglass, you mean like into the window to where the secretary sits?
Yes.
Okay. So just so that you do know, we did spend some time with Officer Flagg, Deputy Lieutenant Vane with Fire Department, myself, Martin, Johnson, Mr. Mullen, doing a walkthrough at the end of the year, doing a kind of a safety security audit walkthrough with everybody, looking for exactly those types of things. That actually was a topic that we looked at and are sort of putting together a priority list relative to, specifically from the police, making a priority list of those things that were safety concerns that we can address going forward this year. So
okay, that was my main thing. I was hoping that we could do it, for the new school year.
Absolutely.
I mean, I have like a battery-operated doorbell. You know what I mean? Like, it would be good to do something like that, so that somebody has to get up and actually open the door. I don't know. I know that sounds silly, but I just something. It just the safety is. I know obviously all of your first priorities as well. Just a big concern. And thank you. So second, I wanted to just share in my role as a community health worker in our community. I have been graciously invited into the school system, but one of the things I wanted to share that I've learned recently that's new to me, and I have been working with Liz as well as Marcia, and I'll be reaching out to Marilyn as well, Marilyn Murphy, is there's a pandemic EBT that's being offered this summer if the child received free and reduced lunch last school year, and so that would afford a good amount of money to families through the summer. And what I misunderstood was because our children this past school year were all awarded free breakfast and lunch, I thought that our children would be automatically awarded that pandemic EBT, and they were not. So that's, I'm working with the school, but I just wanted to share that I think, you know, I don't know if it's something that we can look into, right, to make sure that we qualify, because what I'm hearing is that we didn't qualify. They're not sure if we qualified, or they're not sure if we applied for that. So I don't know, so there's that piece, just looking out for the community. And then the second piece is Project Bread, which is statewide, has a location at the Gardner High School for all families with children K through 12 that can go to the high school for breakfast and lunch free every day from July, it started July 5th, I believe, to August 5th. I don't quote me on that, but it's through the summer, Monday through Friday, and I just hope that we can put a blast out there for our families, because it is a tough time. So that was it. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much.
I'll follow up on the EBT part as well with Roman and Rose.
Okay, thanks.
Look, just, I'm assuming state, with the EBT cards, is that through a state program or federal?
The SNAP program for food stamps.
Okay.
Mhm.
Right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other, any other public comment? No?
Not this time.
All right, very good. Thank you very much for that. We have a consent agenda which includes minutes from multiple meetings. In your packet and emailed to you before the meeting are minutes from May 5th, May 19th, June 2nd, and I think one more date. Yes, June 16th. If the committee is willing, we could consider those as a whole.
Yeah, Mr. Chair. Right. Unless, Alicia, if you need to go through them, I know we got them emailed, but I'd make a motion to approve the consent agenda of the minutes as presented.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? Right, and we'll take a roll call vote. Alicia?
Yeah.
Greg?
Aye.
And the chair votes aye. It is unanimous. All right, next item on our agenda is the superintendent's report with a budget update. Mr. Superintendent.
So I will defer to Mr. Mullen tonight for the budget update.
Thank you. I would like to let you know that we, as of a week and a half ago, we were at a balance of $56,000 remaining in the fiscal year 22 budget, with a partial payroll to go. So most of that, if not all of it, will be used to cover that last payroll. After we get the final numbers on that, that's when we'll make any of the transfers over to zero up our budget for fiscal year 22. As of July 1st, our fiscal year 23 budget was loaded into meals and is active and is currently being used. I think that's about it. Yeah, I have to do that. Unless you have any questions.
Questions from the committee?
I'm here.
Nope.
Does that exclude balances on grants that are closing at the end of the fiscal year?
That's just the operating budget. We don't take that into consideration, the grant numbers, mostly because those are going from year to year. So when we close out a grant, we would update you separately from that. So that just covers the operating budget.
Yeah, as an aside, most of the grants close out. We have to finish spending, I don't know, somewhere usually around September, but then we close them out up until December of a particular year. So they're on a little bit different cycle in terms of closing those out in our fiscal budget.
All right, thank you very much. All right, on to new business. One of the items that we have in here, it is necessary to do tonight, even though, as we know and as everyone can see, we are missing part of our committee tonight. But we do need to put into place and make sure we've captured everything we want to for our retreat. As a reminder, our retreat is on Thursday, August 4th. It is at 4 p.m. And do we know if we have confirmed the location? I think Liz was working on that.
Has not been confirmed yet, but I'll work with her tomorrow to make sure.
Is she working with, or going to be contacting the Lynch's?
Yeah.
She asked me about it, and I have no information. And I said that I'm happy to email, but also if you would like to do it as the chair, that's fine.
Great.
So that's what I responded back to her.
Okay, okay. We are hopeful this will be the last time that we have a public meeting before the retreat, so we'll just say that we are hopeful to have the retreat at the Winchton School, as we have done in the past, and that it will be at 4 p.m. on Thursday, August 4th. Our job tonight is to make sure that all of the committee members have the opportunity to put any agenda items in place for that retreat. You see captured on your agenda this evening some proposals, including the adding of school committee bios to the public-facing websites, adopting definitions and charges for our subcommittees, as well as policy discussions to include the discussion of policy and perhaps the drafting of policy if there is a need, such a need. In addition to that, I just became aware in the last couple of days that the Murdoch Trust has shown an interest in meeting with us to present the funds that they have offered to the schools in the past for FY22, and so that may also be added to our retreat agenda if that's something we want to do at the retreat. Any other items you'd like to add?
I was wondering if we should sort of have a take a look at how we're progressing on I remember it was a while ago, but we put together sort of a plan on where we want to go with the schools, administration-wise, classroom-wise, a strategic plan basically.
Yeah.
And just wondered if we should have an update on where that is, and whether we need to maybe think of putting another one together or amending the one that we have.
We would be wrapping up this year's sort of strategic plan going forward. Our due date to get that to DESE is later in August. Off the top of my head, August 19th. Don't quote me on that. So we would be, at that time, hopefully putting together some more finishing touches on that. So they changed it this year. So historically, you only had to put in an improvement plan for individual schools. So we've always been submitting one for Toy Town and one for the middle school. They've changed it this year, and instead, if you're at a district that needs a building with improvement plans, you just submit it district-wide instead of school-specific. So we're changing that, the way we're going about that work this summer. So to meet that change, so we should have something to present during the retreat.
Okay, and would that be an appropriate time maybe to at least do some initial work on the next plan?
That's right. So this was the plan to go forward
I see what you're saying.
into this
Okay.
year for the district. Yes.
All right, I got you.
So that's what we'll be submitting in August.
All
So
right.
we should be able to bring something forward, a rough draft at that time.
Sure.
Is the DESE timeline on district improvement plans the same, or has that timeline changed? I know you have, you put them in with the DESE, but does that still happen in summer?
They've changed it this year to come in August, where historically we would call them school improvement plans because it was individual school based. And it was always a little bit odd to me because you didn't submit them until somewhere in the fall.
November,
Yeah, and it's a little,
Late.
a little late as far as I'm concerned. You're planning as you're going. So it is a bit of a change this year to have that submitted to DESE in August. Yeah, I would say there's a change. I think we're excited. We have a lot going on in the fall this year, right? Actually for the school year with the adoption of the new math curriculum. We're looking to adopt a new ELA curriculum, 3 to 12. So there's a lot happening, so we have to consider that. Absolutely.
It's a good addition. Great.
Sure. Other items that we are, that we'd like to consider for the retreat?
Can't think of anything else right now, but I would suggest, Mr. Chair, that you maybe don't necessarily have to do it tomorrow, but maybe in the next few days, or even wait till a week or so from now, to just send an email to all of us on the committee, asking us if there's anything else we want to add to the agenda, with a notation of what we've already put on there, just, and maybe providing the date that we would need to have those by, so that we make the posting deadline.
I can do that. All right. Good deal, okay. Anything else on retreat work for this summer? All right, our next new business item is the acceptance of gift funds from Life Changers of America. Mr. Superintendent or Mr. Mullen, would you be able to speak to that a little bit?
Right in front of me. There was a $1,500 gift based on an award given to, what was the teacher's name? I'm sorry.
Oh, Nicole Landry.
Nicole Landry.
Nicole Landry. Given to the Toytown Elementary School to use as they wish. Obviously, we have to accept that first before we can deposit the funds so that they can put together a plan to use that.
As with any external funds to the school system, it's typical for it to come before the board for acceptance. This was tied to an award that Ms. Landry received based on a nationwide consideration of teachers, and I forget the exact number, but it was hundreds of nominations, and a select few nationwide were selected. So another opportunity to celebrate a fantastic teacher in our schools, as well as the fact that it does come with a monetary benefit for the schools, which is absolutely fantastic. And this does require a vote of the school committee, and so if it pleases the board, we would accept a motion.
Mr. Chair,
Great.
I'll move that we accept the $1,500 gift funds from the Life Changers of America, and just add a thank you to Nicole for her role in us getting that.
Second.
Indeed. It's been first and seconded. Any discussion? All right, Greg?
Aye.
And Alicia?
Yay.
And the chair votes aye. It is unanimous. Wonderful. Congratulations again to Ms. Landry, and thank you for the information and for the funds. Any other new business for the committee tonight? All right, I don't believe we have any old business on the agenda. We do have a couple of future agenda items that you can see there. It is possible that some of those things may happen at the retreat, and that will be included in the message that I send to the committee members after tonight as we roll towards the retreat and plan further for it. Any other future agenda items that folks would like to add either to the retreat or other future committee meetings?
Mr. Chair, I have to ask Thad about this. What was the date that DESI set for sort of the drop dead date for doing remote meetings?
It's a great question. July 15th was the end of their remote meeting option, the last I looked, last week. I will check this week to see if they've updated or changed that, or if they're just going to let that pass.
'Cause I'm just wondering if they might offer an option of not doing all meetings that way, but of allowing school committees or school districts to ask for some flexibility in that. I did talk to the superintendent on the phone a week or so ago, and Alicia and I, at the candidates forum that we had before the election, it was brought up that it might be nice to do remote meetings, simply because, as we found out during the pandemic, there seemed to be a lot more public participation than in the meetings that we have here. And so we've been having the flexibility to do a remote meeting every other meeting, or even, once a quarter, I think would be helpful and would help us in our outreach to our constituents.
I'll be happy to monitor up until the retreat, and we can put it on as an agenda item as either an update and possible discussion depending on what the governor puts forward.
Thank you.
I'll just mention that I agree with Greg, that the opportunity to expand our ability to communicate with the public and constituents is expanded when we are offered in different modalities. The television is one modality, but it is not interactive. And depending on what the state government allows us to do is as far as we can go. We have to live within those bounds. But if we have the opportunity to present our meetings and perhaps even interact and offer public comment through different modalities, I think that would increase the participation of constituents. That can only be a good thing. Completely agree. Thank you, Greg. Sure. All right. Update on. All right. Other future agenda items? Not seeing any. We have sped through our agenda. There is a meeting tonight at 6:30 for audit purposes, and so obviously that'll be our next step. But we do have some time, so we'll take school committee closing comments if there are any. Perhaps we can start with Greg.
I've got nothing tonight.
Alicia.
I love that we spent through this whole agenda.
Right.
I love being efficient, so thanks. Pat on the back to everyone in the room.
Right. And I do not really have any closing comments. We are in the middle of our summertime, of course, so the meeting cadence after tonight is relatively light during the month of July. As we've been talking about tonight, we will have the retreat on August 4th, and then we'll go back into our bi-weekly after July 4th with our next meeting on, I think, August 18th after that. And then the school year begins not long after that. So thank you to everyone on the board, and thank you for making this meeting at a unique time. Obviously, we don't typically meet on Mondays, but this gives us a chance to consolidate meetings and make it to the meeting downstairs in a half an hour. All right, we'll take a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
It is unanimous. The chair votes aye, and we are adjourned at 5:53. Thank you.
Press the red button on the back of it.
23 minutes now.
Don't get your hopes up. It's a one and done kind of thing, isn't it?
Yeah, unfortunately.
The upside is a chance to work.